Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Okay. Thursday, all of today's guests, including Farhan Lalji, standing by, brought to you by the Vancouver Giants. Giants would like to thank their fans for their support this season at the LEC and can't wait to welcome them back for the 2023-2024 season. Get your season tickets for next year now at vancouvergiants.com/season tickets. Unsigned Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. Again, a brilliant move by Amar Doman to change the topic off the Canucks and onto the Lions on the last game of the season for the Canucks. Again, brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you think this uniform, trotting out these uniforms,
and he knows the Canucks
on this day,
yeah.
you think it's just a coincidence?
Oh, yeah. Smart marketing 101.
Farhan Lalji joins us now from TSN. Farhan, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I wonder if there's a Hawaiian version for Rick. And more importantly, you guys clearly got freebies. And when you guys released some of your Donnie and Dolly merchandise and had the bucket hat, and I sent a tweet to Ryan saying, you got to send me one. I got people criticizing me for wanting a freebie. This is the only thing free I've ever got from you guys. And you guys got the free jerseys and no one's taking a shot at you.
Ryan, can you send a bucket hat Farhan's way so we don't have to hear this every week, please? Okay. And Farhan, I've seen he's a bucket hat guy. He'll look good in that. He looks good at anything.
I am a bucket hat guy, and with Amar Doman, he's done a lot right. Starting with when he bought the team and the concert last year and how they did the Western semifinal playoff game, and these uniforms look great. And they've done black before. I think the only downside is now we won't see a gunmetal on the final game of the regular season because they're in black all the time. But the fog is pretty cool. Like I like that. Like that's a completely different feel of the white jersey look, in my opinion. I like it a lot. I think they both look really good.
Yeah, and I was saying earlier, Farhan, that this is one of the few times when, in my opinion, I kind of like the lighter colored jersey better than the darker colored jersey. So we might talk about a swap later on, right?
Yes.
All right, Farhan,
which one's is larger?
Well, probably mine. Yeah, mine has to be larger, not because of body size, but just head size. In order to get this thing on, mine has to be triple XL. So there is that. Yeah, thanks. Where are we when it comes to the latest on the SFU football program, Farhan?
Well, first of all, I mentioned Amar Doman just a second ago, and he is also involved in our fight and wants to help on a number of different levels, including financial. Today, the injunction is going to get filed at BC Supreme Court, and we've got an event going on down there at 1:30, which will include a lot of SFU current players, alumni, our legal team, and things of that nature. And honestly, it's important to note that I hope it doesn't get to this point, right? Like we're filing because we want to make sure that every piece of ammunition is available to us, right? Because this is a big fight. We're fighting, a university, right? But my hope is that once this happens, that we can sit down and have some meaningful dialogue with the university, because that hasn't happened in either direction the way it should, right? I mean, there's been kind of some back channel conversations, and certainly we've done everything we can to apply a level of pressure and make sure people understand just how big the football community is and how many people have been negatively impacted by this, because you don't have enough time in this segment for me to truly get into the minutia of how many people are hurt by this decision. And there's a solution. And there's a solution where everybody can look good and everybody can save face, and it doesn't have to be an assigning of blame. It's still a great university. This isn't a great decision, but in so many other areas, this is a great university. And I'm a proud SFU alum, and I want to stay a proud SFU alum. So I hope we can get to a point, because for us, the injunction isn't the start or the end. We could win it and they could fight it. We could lose it, and we've still got other conversations that we're having where we still want to move this program forward and have it reinstated. So, let's sit down before this gets uglier and let's solve this, because if their reasons are actually legitimate, and, there's certainly questions around that, there are solutions, and we can say with certainty there are solutions. So let's try to work together in the best interest of not just the student athletes, primarily the student athletes, but a football ecosystem and a community and grassroots and coaching and everything that this program represents. Let's find a solution.
Okay, and where does the filing of the injunction take place again, Farhan, at 1:30? Sorry.
BC Supreme Court, which I think is Nelson and Hornby. So if you want to come and, if anybody wants to come and show their support and honk their horns or do whatever, we would definitely appreciate it.
You mentioned there are solutions, or there is a solution. Is that focused on rejoining Canada West and U Sports, Farhan?
Preferably, but the NAIA, where SFU used to live in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, is also a possibility, right? Whether that's for 2024 or potentially more exhibition games, it's going to have to be a creative solution for 2023, because the way the university has done this, they've kind of run us out of runway here, or attempting to run us out of runway, because we've got kids that are really anxious about their futures and they're hanging on, hoping they can get the right answer. But at some point, they've got to tap out and make decisions, right? Because they rightfully have to think about themselves first, right? So they've been great being patient to this point and hanging on before making other decisions. But then you've got U Sports, which is a process of trying to gain membership. And the NAIA is a process. And everybody wants their processes followed, as they should, right? We can't be critical there. So we got to get on with it, because let's say we win the injunction and the university agrees to go with it, and we go back to Lone Star, and Lone Star says, well, half these schools have rescheduled now, right? So, okay, so that happens. So now we got to find a solution for the rest of those games, and that solution is out there. And then the other solution could be just playing U Sports exhibition games in the East, because all those OUA teams have buys. So that's a possibility, right? But either way, we got to get on this quick, because if it involves travel, you've got to make those decisions and organize all of that and just get approval for all of it. So we don't have to be a U Sports member to play U Sports exhibition games, hence the Shrum Bowl. And currently SFU has a couple of NAIA games on their exhibition schedule too. So you don't need to be a member to play in those exhibition games, but you want to set that up based on what your future is going to be, right? So ideally, if our future is going to be in Canada West and U Sports, you might want to find a solution there in 2023. And if it's south of the border, then you want to find a solution. So you just need answers quick for our organization and for the kids.
All right, Farhan, it's April. That means no playoffs in this city again for the Canucks. It's a ritual. Again, we're going to say it. We say it every year, a big off-season coming up ahead. What do they need to do this off-season so that next April this city can finally get ready for a playoff series?
Well, we know where their challenges are roster-wise, right? So first of all, when they do their locker cleanout, I'm curious to see what they say about selected players, right? Like, what's Tanner Pearson's future going to look like? I know, Rick, you were talking about it the other day, that more surgeries are on the horizon and there's no guarantee this guy plays next year. And you obviously can't rush that decision. You've got to see how the surgeries go and if there's a chance of him playing. But, Tucker Poolman and Travis Dermott, those guys skated in and around the trade deadline. Not sure what their status is and how are they going to move money, right? But so they've got to do those things. And then in terms of roster needs, right, it's pretty clear they need a third-line center, right? If you could tell me that guys like Nils Oman and Dakota Joshua and even Phil DiGiuseppe could wind up occupying a fourth line, like, that's a really good fourth line on a good team. But if all of those guys have to be elevated into high roles, now where are you, right? So get a legitimate third-line center. And we know about the issues on the back end. And Akito Hiroshi's, I think he's making them think a little bit, right? Because for me, I felt that, okay, they need another guy on the left side, right? Between Quinn Hughes and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who I still don't believe is getting bought out. So, and I'm not suggesting Akito Hiroshi should be a top four defenseman all of a sudden next year, but the poise and savvy this guy's showing, and he's not a kid because he's done his full NCAA eligibility, he's going to give them a real long look at a possibility there. And so they've got to fix their back end. I think those are the big things. And then, what happens up front? Because if we believe that either Brock Besser or Connor Garland are going to be moved on, are they solid in their top six, right? As far as wingers go, we believe this organization has a plethora of wingers, but do they have a plethora of top six wingers, right? We know McKayb's coming back. So, so I'm curious to see what that looks like too. But third line center, fix the blue line and move money, which is kind of stuff that we've talked about for a while.
Okay, Farhan, and quickly, sticking on the subject of the Canucks and something you were talking about there with Hiroshi, McWard, Juleson a while back before he got hurt, Burrows on a regular basis. Have you noticed a big drop-off on the blue line when it comes to these young players taking the place of injured veterans?
Not at all, but some of that is the bar's been set low, right? Like some of the veterans are so poor that you can take them out of the lineup and there's really not a big issue there, right? So I think that's been the biggest challenge. We know it's been a difficult season for Tyler Myers. We know, what Oliver Ekman-Larsson's season has been like. And, Luke Schenn has been good. But again, like when he was here, he was solid. He wasn't elite. But again, the bar was so low, right? So Ethan Bears managed to tread water. And we know Quinn Hughes has been exceptional. But there's been just so many flaws on the back end that these guys can come in and not be any worse than those guys. But boy, I'm telling you, to quote Rick Dollywall, I'm telling you, Akito Hirose is pretty good. And, if he had some strength and some weight, that stretch pass he made to Kuzmenko on that goal has been exceptional. The way he's exited the zone and the calm he's shown moving the puck against forechecks has been really good. So you might have something there, and he's not a kid, but good to have some legitimate depth pieces. 16 NHL defensemen this year. So if nothing else, they've shown there's some depth, but they do need to get better in the top four.
And Rick Tocchet, who doesn't hand out praise lightly, has no problem bringing up number 36. Farhan, thanks for this. We'll get the Lions to send you one of these jerseys, okay?
Number 23 in orange and black, Donnie Taylor.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen.
I like that. Yes. There was a Don Taylor who played
There was
for the
a Don
Lions,
Taylor.
and he wore the number 19.
Did he wear 23?
No, he wore 19.
He wore 19. You would
19.
know. Okay.
Yes. Thanks for this, Farhan. Appreciate it.
See you, boys.